regularly streaming on Twitch as I should be, but I am going to try to change that. I'm going to try to change. I know you've heard that a million times before, but before we get into the stream and we start doing some other fun stuff, let's count down the top 10 budget cards in NBA 2K22 My Team. Look, I know you see the outfit right now. It's Father's Day. I had to dress like a 1960s father. This is what your grandparents wore, right? This is what your grandpa wore when he piped your grandma down for the first time at some weird like overlook outside of their town in West Virginia in the back of like a 57 Chevy. You know, this is the drip that he was rocking at that time. Just take note of that. You know what I mean? Your grandpa was cool is what I'm saying. Now look, there's a lot of good budget cards in My Team. I constitute a budget card as being a card under 25K. I know different people have different, you know, definitions of what a budget card is. Let me first start out by saying huge shout out to Scotty Q and Power Psych B. I have both your real names. I just don't want to dox you. Really appreciate the buy me a coffee donations. I super appreciate that. I typically shout these out during stream, but I didn't get a chance to see this until just this now. So just know that I appreciate it immensely. That's why I posted a community post as well. But enough sentimental stuff. Let's get into it, man. First honorable mention is a card that I think is kind of like one of those cards that's not really a master of everything, but does a couple things really, really well, and is just on the cusp of 25K, which would be Miles Turner. Miles Turner is a weird price. You can get him for sometimes 23K. Sometimes he's closer to 27, 28. It just kind of depends on the time of day of which you are looking. But Miles Turner is nice. Even if you have to reach over the 25K spectrum and pay 26K for him, I mean, he's really good. 6'11", 250. He is a little bit of a thick boy. I mean, I will say that. That is kind of, I don't want to say a net negative. Like, he can still move pretty well, but it's definitely something to kind of look at. I mean, he came with the Swish 4 set, so there's not a whole lot of them dropping anymore. So this is going to be the cheapest he's going to be until Super Packs anyway. But Jump Shot 71 is actually a really good release. Like, I mean, those of you who remember his diamond card, like, he was fire, right? 94 3-point shot, 83 ball handle. Like, you know, at this point, every card kind of does everything. He's a little bit on the slower side. He's essentially just going to be a 3-and-D big man, but he does both of those things incredibly well. The jump shot is significantly better than you would realize. He does have like off range too, so if you like to kick it to the top of the key to the center off drives, like, this is going to be one of your best guys for sure. And I mean, there's not much he really needs. Like, he lacks dribbling badges and stuff. Limitless takeoff isn't even as big of a draw as you would think, especially if you're someone who operates in the mid-range game. So he is really, really solid. Straight up. I mean, he is. Next up, we're going to talk about another big man adjacent guy. And, you know, I can't not hype my boy, especially when I'm over here looking like this. Like, George MIKAN. You can get this guy for, at the absolute most, 10K, but he usually settles around 7 or so. I've seen him lower, but typically that's kind of where he's at. George MIKAN is nice. Like, 6'10", not the biggest guy to run at center, but I do think he's better at the center position than the shooting guard, but he can kind of operate in both. I just think he's a little bit sluggish for the shooting guard. Excellent interior defensive badges. Like, altogether, just a very solid card. I don't think he particularly excels in any one facet, but I think he does everything just very well. His jump shot's not terrible. Like, they gave him just the bronze mismatch expert, which is upgradable. I just don't understand why they did that. Chef would be nice. He's not the greatest at dribbling, so that's why he's in the honorable mentions. I mean, he's a very competent big man to pick up at that price. I think there are guys who are a little bit better, but still, he's nice. You know what I mean? Next up is a point guard, and I think there are issues with this card for sure, but he's good. Like, Shaun Livingston, man. Shaun Livingston is nice. Like, 6'7", 192. He does not have the afro in game, unfortunately, which does, I feel like, negate his value a little bit, but he's really solid. Like, really solid. I don't think you're going to find much more of a just overall solid card than Shaun Livingston, especially at this price range. Jump Shot 27 is kind of trash, I'll be honest. It's very greenable, but it isn't the most meta release in the world, which, I mean, you're using Shaun Livingston. You should expect that to be the case, but badge count-wise, I mean, he's got everything. Everything you would need. I don't think there's anything specifically that he really needs that you need to upgrade. I mean, I guess if you want to do drop stepper things, like, sure, Bro Touch, that he doesn't have the most useless bench in all of My Team. And, I mean, he is very well-rounded. Now, the reason he's an honorable mention is because I think there is minimum 2 point guards on this list that are better than him overall, but you might find yourself actually really enjoying SHAUN Livingston. So that's the reason I wanted to put him in here. So next up is another card that I've talked about a few times, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm trying to highlight cards that people don't really know about or wouldn't think to use, and one of those is Channing Frye. I think Channing Frye is really good. I think his jump shot is clean. Just like Miles Turner, he's going to be more of a 3-and-D big man. But for those of you who used Channing Frye at the beginning of the year, I ran Channing Frye as my center for a while. I think until I got to Kimbe, he was at least my bench center at absolute minimum. And Channing Frye is straight. He is. He even has like half quick first step, which doesn't really do anything for him. He's kind of slow and lumbering, but very easy to green jump shot, although a little slow, I will say. Great block animations, big player build. Like Channing Frye is usually an early game demon for a reason, and he is a fun card to use at this stage. So let's get to the actual top 10. Then let's play some My Team Limited so I can try to get my ring. We'll see if that happens. Oh, Danny Ferry. Don't need to talk too much about Danny Ferry. I mean, he's like a bald piece of shit, but whatever. Like, it is what it is. He's a good player in my team. Sometimes you got to look past the flaws. You know what I mean? Danny Ferry is 6'10" with base 98. He can move really well. He plays good defense. He's got all the shooting badges you need. Like, he's not the greatest defender, but he's competent enough that it's not really going to be that big of a deal. I mean, he has like clamps, interceptor, like intimidator, and rim protector. He's fine. Like, you don't really need to think too much about it when you're dealing with Danny Ferry. I mean, he's one of the most sweat lord players in the game for an absolute reason. Like, Danny Ferry's where it's at. Now, people are going to say I ranked this card a little too low, I think, but number 9 is Drazen, and the reason I ranked him low is just because everybody has this card at this point, so it doesn't really matter. There's not very much of him up, and he'll remain this price until we get super packs when everyone's drawing him in said super pack, so he'll be coming down in price a little bit, but Drazen's just better Cassie Russell. If you like Cassie Russell, you'll like Drazen Petrovic. If you're a 3-point hunter, especially if you're on next gen, Drazen is extremely valuable for the price point that he's at. Now, if you're on current gen, you can do better with some other guys like Eddie Jones, who's not on this list, like, you know, guys like that. But on next gen, I think Drazen is one of the best budget shooting guards that you can pick up for sure. Number 8 is what I would consider to be better Channing Frye, and that's Serge Ibaka. You could say, no, you know what? Better Channing Frye isn't correct. I would say better Chris Boucher. Yeah, better Chris Boucher. He's going to play lockdown defense. He's got a big player build. He's going to block shots. He's going to hit open threes at an extremely high clip. His jump shot is fine. He's not going to move. That's it. If you're looking for a center or a power forward that's going to move at a consistent basis, like, this is not the guy for you, for sure. But if you're looking for one that's just going to sit there, play intense defense, block shots, and hit open shots, Serge Ibaka is nasty, and he dunks really hard in the post as well. He's a good post defender as well, so if you're getting paint mashed, you could actually hold it down with Serge Ibaka. Like, he's very good. Number 7 is no joke one of my favorite cards in the game. And I just don't ever hear anybody talk about him, but I think it's because he's in a stacked position. But Larry KENON is absolutely incredible. Larry KENON is stupid. Like, this card is so dumb. And, like, maybe I'm just not watching enough content creators, but I really have not seen anybody talk about this card as positively as I do. Like, Larry KENON is ridiculous. 6'9", but he looks like 6'11". Like, he looks huge. He's got a huge muscular player build, little afro. You know how I like a little afro on my players, absolutely. Like, I'm a big fan of anybody with a mustache and anybody with an afro, preferably if you can combine the two, but unfortunately, we haven't got a new Lucius Allen that can really hold it down, or else I would absolutely be running him. But Larry KENON does everything. Plays some of the best defense in my team. Huge player build, blocks shots, gets rebounds, can attack the rim, has meta dribble moves, jump shot 4-on very quick, like he can 3-point hunt. There's nothing this card can't do. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. Straight up, he can. And he is absolutely worth whatever price he is going for. Like 8,000 MT, he is an elite level small forward for 8,000 MT. I would run Larry KENON over a lot of way more expensive small forward power forwards. I would, and I do. So, and I'm not the greatest player in the world, y'all know that, but at the same time, no, I'm saying y'all recently. Is that my Texas family finally coming out of me? It is what it is. Number 6, Yakuba Diawara? I can never say his name. Either way, super sick first name. Super sick first name. I like it. What's up? What's up, guys? Sorry, I've been not addressing the chat, but I appreciate y'all. Happy Father's Day. He's good. He's so good. Everything I said about Larry KENON could be said about Yakuba Diawara as well. He's just an incredibly versatile point guard. He can play the point guard or the small forward at equal capacity. Like, huge player build, meta jump shot, can move really well, defends all 5 positions if you need him to. Just fantastic. And I'm sorry, everyone called me a casual because I didn't know who this guy was, but I'm sorry. Come on, bro. Nobody knows who this is. Number 5 is a Sweat Lord player I'm not going to spend too much time talking about here, and that's Poku. The reason I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Poku is everybody knows about Poku at this point. But if you're a newer player, you don't know about Pokuvetchu. I think that's how you say it. In my team, yeah, I mean, he's a 7-foot tall, gangly, slender man who, like, can move. He can shoot. He's got Scottie Pippen's release, which is a really easy to green release, but kind of slow. And he's absolutely massive and super skinny. He could do a little bit of everything as well. He's just not the greatest interior defender. That's just kind of the one thing you need to know about him. Now for easily one of my favorite cards in the game. I only ranked him low because I've talked about him so extensively. And that's GERALD WALLACE, dude. GERALD WALLACE is a must-have for any budget squad. And I mean that with full conviction. GERALD WALLACE is nasty. He's got some of the best defensive animations in the game, right up there with Kawhi Leonard. We all know that, especially this year. Like, a huge player build. He does that smack the hand thing on the court all the time, which I just really enjoy. Meta jump shot, dunks over everybody. GERALD WALLACE, for the last few years, has been kind of one of those slept on 2K players that, like, a lot of people realize how good he was, but, you know, he was never the most meta or the most sought after card. But I feel like this year was the first year that he really got his flowers. And GERALD WALLACE was stupid and is stupid. He's so good. Oh, I might need this hollow one, but I have an original owner. Number 3 is a card that fluctuates between being around 25k and around 28k, but he's so good that I'm going to go ahead and include him in this list, and that's Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, like I said, fluctuates. Like, I see him for under 25k, then I'll see him back up to 29k. It just kind of depends, but Marc Gasol is an absolutely nasty center for this price point. Like, Pau Gasol prior to the lock-in announcement, same with Hakeem, were right here as well, and I would include them in the list if it wasn't for the lock-in, which has shot their price way up. But Marc Gasol, although he may be a little bit slow, he does everything. He can be a point center. He plays fantastic defense. He actually gets up and gets rebounds, which is the problem I have with this Galaxy Opal card. But at the same time, Marc Gasol does it all. Bars. He's good. He's great. He is. Number 2 is, I'm going to say legitimately might be a top 5 point guard in the game that you can get for a ridiculously cheap price, and that's Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson might actually be like a top 5 point guard in this game. He's ridiculous. Shout out to Jazz, dude. But oh my God, Larry Johnson, dude. This card, first off, he's just yoked for no reason. Like, he's so ripped for absolutely no reason. I could say the same thing about GERALD WALLACE, but Larry Johnson, just like, I don't know. He's got one gold tooth, which I've always respected about Larry Johnson, because, like, everyone else went with the full gold teeth action. But Larry Johnson was like, nah, I just want that one gold front tooth. And I'm going to hoop with the t-shirt under my jersey. Just an absolute legend. I love Larry Johnson, dude. Shout out to UNLV. My God, this card is stupid. Like, I'm not kidding. He's the top 5 point guard that you can buy in this game for the price that he's going for, which is right around 25k. And if you have that amount of MT and you're looking for an elite level point guard, yeah, grab Larry Johnson. He moves, he shoots, he dunks, he plays defense, he gets boards, he can guard the best cards in the game. Just ridiculous. And number 1, I'm including over Larry Johnson. He is a worse point guard, but he's much more affordable, and that is Nicolas Batum. Nicolas Batum, always a staple on these budget lists, certainly. And this Batum is no different than your average Batum that we get every single year. You know, he dribbles well, huge player build, like, great jump shot. There's nothing wrong with him. He's probably, everything I said about Diawara goes triple for Nicolas Batum. He's essentially just a better version of what Yakuba will bring to your team. If you were to run him and Yakuba on the bench, you could compete. And I say you could compete because I'm not a budget psychotic person that doesn't understand 2K's pay-to-win model and thinks that they're just as good as the top-tier cards in the game, because they are not. I understand fully the pay-to-win model that 2K has in store here. But Nicolas Batum can compete with some of the best cards in the game. Like, he's a more offensive threat than someone like GERALD WALLACE would be. But, like, his defense is right there as well. And, my God, Nicolas Batum is great. I've been running him on my Portland squad for limited, which has been winning me games against some of the sweatiest competition I've ever dealt with in my life. But, it is what it is. So, hey, hope this helped.